So there we go. So we're going to look for increasing price and declining volume, over a period of 4 bars. So, and then lastly, third thing is we want to be approaching some kind of a, support resistance level here. So here, let's modify this. So some kind of a support resistance level, such as a pivots indicator. All right. So yeah, okay. So Davis is kind of clarifying from 1 bar, he wants to see increasing price and decreasing volume, from bar to bar over a period of 4 bars. Yeah. So here. All right. There we go. Okay. Yeah. So it is very, it is necessary to kind of be very specific here when you're defining, your set of rules. When you're making a system, so to speak. So, all right. I already have my chart ready to go here. So I have the pivots indicator on here, and the volume indicator, and I also have a volume moving average, right? So there's a couple of ways to define what is decreasing of something, right? So in this case, decreasing volume here. So we can literally look and compare from bar to bar, and from bar to bar. So like for example, if we're looking at decreasing volume, you can literally go from, let's, start here. Oops, where's that diamond? There we go. So if we start from here, we can see the volume is decreasing from 1 bar to the next, and from that bar to the next, and from that bar to the next. Or, of course, you could use some kind of indicator that, is measuring volume, such as this volume moving average that I have on the chart as well. So, so I've got, we'll cover kind of 2 different ways that you can measure decreasing volume here. So, and of course, the same thing goes for, increasing price. So let's see. We had a spot back here earlier. Yeah, here we go. So if you're measuring, increasing or decreasing price, of course, there's a couple of ways you can do that as well, right? You can just go from bar to bar to bar to bar, right? And you can look at all the closing prices, make sure that the closing prices are all rising. Or again, you could use something like a moving average, right? So when you're thinking about, determining whether something on the chart is increasing or decreasing, you do need to figure out exactly what you mean and how you are measuring that here. So again, since this is kind of vague here, I'm going to literally look at the closing price to determine whether price is increasing here. So we'll make sure that the closing price from bar to bar to bar is increasing. So and we'll do the same thing for volume in one case. Make sure that the volume is literally decreasing from bar to bar to bar, and then we'll use an alternate way of measuring declining volume by using the volume moving average here. So like here's a good example. We can see that looking at the volume moving average, we can see it's sloping downward. So therefore, we know volume is decreasing. So actually, I think we kind of figured out, let's see here, that, I think we actually have a good spot to work with on our chart as we're building this system here. So we'll use this spot on our chart here, to build all these various rules here. And then I'm sure somewhere along the chart we'll also find some place where price is kind of coming down. Basically the opposite effect here. Let's see here. Oh, got disconnected. Okay. Let's see if there's a spot on the chart where price is coming down towards a support resistance level. And decreasing volume, yeah, this might be, no, this doesn't look like this quite works out there. Anyways, we'll figure that out later. So let me just kind of stick with this spot on the chart here that I found right there. There we go. Okay, yeah, so we'll use this as our working area on the chart there. All right, so let's get BloodHound open. So we can see I already have BloodHound on the chart down here on the bottom. And we have the BloodHound button up on the top of the chart here. So we'll click on the button and open up BloodHound. All right, first thing you want to do is, put a file name, name your system here. So we'll just hit the change button, and I will take last week's BloodHound file, just change the date, 22. All right, and there we go. All right, so there we go. We have a BloodHound file name. And next, I'm going to start working on the logic board here, right? So from the logic tab, we can get to the logic board here. And let's hit the new button to create a new logic template. And so let's see here. So increasing price and declining volume and approaching a support resistance level. There we go. All right. So you'll need to you'll want to kind of come up with some kind of a name for your logic template here. All right. So let's tackle item number 1 here. Increasing volume and or decreasing volume here. So I'm going to use simply comparison solver to do that, right? Now, if you're going to be using a moving average to determine whether price is increasing or decreasing, in a more general fashion, then you would want to use a slope solver. So you could look at the, actually we can use the slope solver for price as well. Let's see here. Yeah, I'll use the slope solver here. So yeah, that way we don't have to have multiple solvers for determining increasing or decreasing price here. But there's a couple of ways, that you can determine whether something is increasing or decreasing from one bar to the next, right? So we could use the comparison solver, but the slope solver is a little more convenient because it only needs one input, right? So let's plug that into that. And instead of using, so again, like I mentioned, right, you could use some kind of moving average to determine whether price is more generally sloping up or sloping down. But in this case, we'll literally use price. So we'll set this to price. And so since this is just kind of vague here, I'm just going to use the closing price of that. And there we go. So when we look at this, we can see, right, if the closing price is closing down and down and down, then we're going to get a short output from that solver. And over here where we're working, let me grab an arrow. There, we can see as price is rising, actually from here, right, from this down part, as price is rising, we're going to get a long output, right? And so the slope solver just allowed us to just, plug in one input for that. Right? So if you think of it, what is the slope solver looking at? Well, since I'm using the closing price of the bar, it's literally, looking at this line, right? This line is kind of connecting all the closing prices of the bars together. So yeah, let's make this a little more generic. There we go. So, all right. So let's see here. Let's give this solver a name here, right? So we're looking at, price slope. There. Okay, so there is condition number 1. And next, let's look at declining volume. So again, to keep this kind of simple, for this kind of generalized question here, let's just grab another slope solver, like so. And we can change the type here. We could either directly just use the volume input here, and of course with volume, well, I'm using range bars here, so range bars may not be ideal with the volume, but if you've looked at enough charts, you definitely know that volume is a little more inconsistent, right? So it is pretty difficult to find consistently decreasing volume here, but we actually do have a spot right here. Let's see here. Yeah, so we can see right here, literally the volume is literally decreasing from bar to bar to bar. There. So, all right. Let's see here. Let's see. Well, actually, yeah, I'm going to set for the volume. I'm going to do this two different ways here. So let's give this a name first. All right. So we're looking at the volume slope, like so, and then as an alternate here, let's grab I'm going to grab another slope solver. And this time, I'll set this solver up to look at the volume MA indicator. All right. So let's change the input here from the SMA, and we'll use the volume MA indicator. And where is it? There we go. It's up here. All right. And just remember to change the period of your indicator if need be. And all right, so there we go. So we've got kind of two different alternates here for item number 2, finding decreasing volume. Right, and and again, just to re-emphasize, we could do the same thing for price, right? So again, this slope solver is literally looking at the closing price, but again, you could modify this solver here to look at some kind of a moving average over price as well. So, and there's one other thing we kind of need to do for these volume, slope solvers here. So, I guess probably whether price is increasing or decreasing towards a support resistance level, typically the questions I see coming in, volume will always be declining here. So we need to take these solvers here. So let's see here. Oh, David, one thing you didn't mention here is what type of signal direction are you looking for? I take it you're going to be looking for a bounce off of the support resistance level. So as price is increasing, I take it you're probably looking for a counter trend signal here. In other words, a short signal, probably right there. It's going to be my guess. Yeah, so that's another thing, guys, when you're, yeah, so David says shorting. Yeah, so that's another thing, guys, when you email questions in, make sure you tell us what, signal direction or trade direction you're looking for, with your set of rules here. Yeah, so we're looking for, or David is looking for, a short from increasing price. He's looking for a short, and if it's decreasing price, then it'll be looking for a long here, right? So let's kind of look at this from the opposite direction here. So let's just say, for example, if we had decreasing price and decreasing volume, he would be looking for a long, right? And the thing I'm trying to bring, the point I'm trying to emphasize is that the volume is going to be declining or decreasing regardless of whether price is going down or price is going up towards your support resistance line. But volume is always going to be decreasing, typically. So what we need to do is, right, if we look at our slope solvers, if price is always declining, regardless of whether you're looking for a long signal or a short signal, then what we need to do is these slope solvers for volume need to output, right? We need to output a long and a short. So here, let me grab this, right? So if volume is declining, so if we're looking for a long signal here, right, where price is declining towards the support resistance line, but volume is also declining, well, we need to get a long output from the volume declining as well. So what we'll do is, let's see, the slope solver here, we're going to modify the output here. Yeah, let's just turn that on like so. There. So let's see here. Actually, no, sorry. Hold on. Hold that thought. Yeah, let's see here. We need to strip out the long signals from the volume slope solvers. We need to get rid of the long output there. So we're only interested in when we're getting a short output. In other words, when volume is declining from these volume slope solvers here. Okay, let's see here. So we need to strip out the long. So let's take a look at the long-short modifier. And so we have a enable long side and enable short side here. And actually, we could use the long-short modifier, or we could also use the inverter here. Let me grab an inverter as well to kind of illustrate this. So we can see that the inverter also has a enable short side or enable long side here. So we could use either one of these to basically disable the long side, right? That's what we want to do, is disable the long side here. So, but I'm gonna just stick with the long short modifier. So we're gonna take the enable long side and we're going to set it to false, turn it off, and then the mode, we don't want to swap things. Actually, the mode, we're going to set it to none, like so. Let's connect that up, connect that in, and there we go. So by disabling the long side, we stripped out the long signals when the volume increases, right? Because the way this is written is we're only interested in a declining volume situation, right? As price approaches your support resistance level. Okay, so there we go. So we have the short output, and so now we have a short output when volume is declining. So again, going back to a situation where we would want a long signal, right? If price is approaching our SR level from the opposite direction, right? We're interested in a long bounce off of that level. But again, volume is declining. So if we're looking for a long signal, we need to have a long output as well from the volume declining. So we're going to take this long short modifier, and here, let's name this. So, all right, so let's see, this is basically giving us short only, right? And we're going to grab another long short modifier so that we can modify the output even further. And let's connect that all together. There we go. And let's see, this time, oh, you know what? Yeah, that's right. There's so many functions here. Here, let's just do this all in one solver here. That's right. We also have mirror the short as well. And oh wait, shoot, I thought that was gonna do it for us. Oh, There we go. So yeah, let me enable the long side. That's right. We had mirror short, this mirror short option. So enable. So we need to leave the enable long set to true here, and yeah, we can just use the mirror short side, and that basically did everything for us in just one function node. So there we go. So that's what we're looking for. There we go. Long and a short at the same time when volume is declining. Right. So there. All right. Let me move those two back. So whichever kind of volume, however you decide to determine declining volume, you can just take one of these slope solvers. So if you literally want to look at volume on a bar by bar basis for declining, right, we can use the top solver and just pop it into this function node, or we can take the volume MA indicator and pop it in there. So there. I'm going to use the volume MA because I think it'll be a little more generic versus literally looking at the volume there. All right, so here we go. So we have rule number 1, looking for volume, or looking for price to decrease or increase, and then rule number 2, looking at the volume. And the last thing we need to do is determine when price is approaching a support resistance level, such as the pivots indicator. So that will be a job for the support resistance solver here. There we go. Support resistance solver at the bottom. And there, let's put that down there, connect that in. All right, so when we're using the support resistance solver, first thing we need to determine is, are we looking for price to bounce off of a level, or are we looking to block signals if price is too close to a support resistance level here? So in this case, we're looking for price to come down and bounce off, or for price to move up and bounce off, bounce down and off. So in that case, we are looking for tailwind mode. Yeah, so if you're looking for price to bounce off of a level, then that is tailwind mode. And let's see here. The next thing we need to do is we're going to be using an indicator to determine those support resistance levels here, right? So we're going to use indicator as a SR level. So let's set that to true. And now we can see a select input, select indicator input, basically, option opens up here. And so let's go to the indicator and let's pick the pivots indicator. All right, there we go. There's our pivots indicator. And again, make sure that your settings here match the settings that you're using on the chart. So on the chart, I'm calculating from intraday. All right, and then as far as, let's see, our little interesting, our little tooltip there got stuck on. There we go. All right. So one thing that's unique about the support resistance level is you can actually select multiple plot lines. So this is the one and only solver, in which you can select multiple plots, for indicators exactly like the pivots indicator, right? Where you have multiple pivot lines to determine your support resistance solver here, right? Now, of course, you can, turn on and off. So let's say you're not interested in the PP line, you can unselect that and just use the R or the S lines. All right, so you can pick and choose, which actual plot lines or levels you actually want to analyze. But let's just use them all here for this example. All right, there we go. And then next, what you need to determine is the distance. How close does price need to get to your support resistance level before you'll consider a bounce off of that level, right? Some kind of a range here, right? So we have an ideal distance and a maximum distance. So the ideal distance is, again, we have two distances here because looking at the bigger picture of BloodHound, works using fuzzy logic, right? So in other words, as price gets closer and closer to your level, you can kind of set up this range here, and the output from the support resistance level will increase as price gets closer and closer to your support resistance level. So that's why we have two distances, because of the fuzzy logic capability. However, most people, most people like to just use fixed values here. So what that translates into is that we'll set the ideal distance and maximum distance to the same distance away here. And again, to keep things simple, I'm going to set the measurement in ticks here. That's a lot easier to measure on the chart, ticks. And let's see here, I'm using a 4 range chart. So let's just say price needs to get within, 5 ticks, for example. So I'm going to put 5 ticks there in both the maximum and ideal distance. And there we go. So if price is coming from the top and coming down towards the level, right, we're going to get a long output here. And then if price is coming from the bottom and moving up, we're going to get a short output, right? So depending on whether price is above your level or below your level, right, will determine the output, right? And that is what basically that's what tailwind determines. Yeah, so there we go. Actually, we're all done with the support resistance level. So just again, to summarize, we're using tailwind because we're looking for bounces, for potential bounces of price off of the support resistance level. And then determine your distance, how close does price need to get to your support resistance level. And then the other thing is we're using an indicator for the support resistance level, and then just plug in your favorite, pivot type of indicator. All right, so there we go. There's the three, the three main components here of this system. And let's see. So now we just need to connect them all together. So here's kind of the key of this: is how would you combine? Right? How would you combine these all together? And that is the job of the logic nodes here. So in this case, so in most cases, since you need all of your rules or all of your conditions to occur together, then that is the job of the AND node. So the AND node makes sure that all of your solvers occur together right on the same bar here. So yeah, we need to make we're not quite done here. We need to make some slight modifications here. So we had a a little modification here, slight modification here. So to basically rule 1 and rule 2, which is we need these to occur over a period of 3 or 4 bars here, right? So what I'm going to do is take condition, right, 1 and 2, put it into an AND node, and let's take a look here. Yeah, so looking back here, right, we have we have a couple of bars here. Yeah, we do have a couple of bars here. Let's see. Our volume MA wasn't quite working with us. Let's see. Yeah, you know what? Let's make a modification to this. Let's make this, just for the sake of getting this to work here with what we have on the chart. I'm going to take the volume MA and let's speed this up here. Let's see what happens if we go to like a 7 period, like so. All right, and then at the same time, let me get BloodHound back open. And at the same time, I'm going to go into the volume MA, and let's put a 7 there so we know it's a 7 period. And let's go into the indicator, and we need to go into the volume MA inside of BloodHound and also change that to a 7 period volume MA. And let's take a look now. All right, yeah, there we go. So yeah, so now we have a couple of long outputs here as volume is rising. I mean, as price is rising and volume is decreasing here. So actually, I'm gonna, again, just to make this a little easier to build the system, I'm gonna modify this to 3 bars. So it's going to work with what I've got here. So next step is from this AND node, right? I'm going to be looking for a minimum of 3 long outputs or a minimum of 3 short outputs. So actually, we can see here we're only getting 2 short outputs right here. So this actually is not going to generate a long signal for us. As we can see, volume did start, actually literally volume started increasing in this situation. So this wasn't ideal for a long. Let's see, how about over here? No, volume is increasing, so that's not going to work either. All right, so we'll find a situation where we'll get a long signal here in a moment. So let's just stay focused over here where we know we're going to get a we're looking for a short signal. I'm trying to move that arrow. There we go. Okay. Yeah, so coming out of this AND node, we're going to be looking for, whatever you want, 3 bars or 4 bars, right? So over a period of 3 bars or 4 bars for condition 1 and condition 2. So to do that, we can use the look back node here. And let's move this stuff back just a little bit. There we go. So with the look back node, we can set the look back period. Actually, we're not going to use the displacement, so let's set that to 0. We don't want to shift the signals forward any. So, but we do want to use the look back period, and let's just start this with 3 bars, and we need a minimum of 3 bars with a signal, right? And so there we go. So there is our signal. So we have a couple bars of rising price, and if we look at our volume MA indicator, right, we have a couple of bars, 3 bars to be precise, where the volume MA is declining, like so. And there we go. There's our So that is just rule 1 and rule 2, or condition 1 and condition 2, right? Price and volume acting together. And let's see here. Let's take a quick look backwards. Yeah, there we go. So here's price coming down, and then volume coming down as well. So that occurs a few times. All right, so now the last thing to do is hook in our support resistance, right? Price approaching the support resistance. And so we need one more AND node. All right, so there we go. Here, let's see here. Let's name this there. So there we go. This look back is basically determining, that we have 3 bars, and this AND node. Let's rename this AND node so we know it's rule number 1, and rule number 2, like so. There. All right, and this support resistance solver. We'll give this a name here. So this is basically rule number 3. There we go. Support resistance. And let's connect that in. And let's see what we're left with. And finally, there we go. Let's connect that last AND node there. And let's close this out. Let's maximize the chart and see if we actually have any signals. Let's see here. Okay, good. So we can see we need to factor in one more condition here, right, that we didn't have in the question there. So we'll need to make sure that price, is below our support resistance level, prior to it as well. Yeah, I'm just thinking of a couple of ways to do that. Actually, before, let's just kind of let me scan through the chart here and see if there's anywhere else where this might work out. Yeah, maybe the NQ is not a good instrument, for this set of rules here. Let's see here. All right, yeah, I'm going to make a couple of other general modifications to this here as well. Yeah, so let me go back to this little area we were working in, and we'll make some other modifications here. So I think the other, I was hoping really that range bars might work out, but I think really it's the volume here that's making things really kind of difficult here. But to kind of help, I'm going to take the price slope, and instead of just looking at price directly, let's use a faster moving average here. So let's throw in an EMA. There we go. Let's throw in an EMA, and we'll do something like hopefully a 10 period is fast enough. We'll take a look here. All right, so let's go back to our little price slope, and change our input from price. We'll switch it from price to an indicator, and then we'll plug in that EMA and see if that helps generate a few more signals. And there we go. There's the EMA. Set it to a 10 period. There. All right. Good. So at least we're getting a few more signals here to kind of work with, and then next, yeah, we'll add another solver that'll help, make sure that price has been, prior to any signal, that price has been on the, quote, correct side of the support resistance level here. Yeah, so like for example here, we're not, I should say David's not looking for a short signal there because price was above the level, prior to that signal, right? The short signal would be like over here where price was below it, or, over here price was above the support resistance level. And, so this would be okay for a long, but, not a long here because price was below it prior to that long. Yeah, so we need some additional filtering here. So to do that, let's see here. Let's see here. Just need to decide how I want to do this. Yeah, I'm gonna try using this an extra support resistance solver here, and let's plug this into the result node so we can give this a shot. And so again, I'm going to be using Tailwind, and I'm going to use, actually, hold on, let me get rid of that solver here to save me some time here. Instead of building a brand new, support resistance solver from scratch, I can save a little bit of time. And let's see, let's get rid of that one. So I'm going to take this one here, the support resistance solver that I've already built, make a copy of it, and let's name this here. So I'm going to use this to determine whether price, has been above or below the support resistance, for several bars here. All right, so not exactly sure what kind of name I should give this, but I think this will be good enough here. Yeah, so there's our solver, and what I'll need to do next is go in and adjust the distances here. Yeah, so let's do that here, and so let's put this copy down below here, and what I can do is increase these distances. Yeah, I'm going to increase them by quite a lot. Let's see here. See, I'm not sure. That's 50 ticks. I'm not sure if that's going to be too much, but let's give it a shot. And yeah, there we go. So there we go. We can see if price has been right above our level or below our level. And then just kind of like how we did previously, looking back here, there, let's stretch this out a little bit. So remember, with rule number 1 and rule number 2, we used a look back node, to make sure that we had a period of 3 bars or more, of price moving up or price moving down, with the volume decreasing. So we can do the same thing with this solver here. So let's grab a look back period. And so we'll have to kind of make a judgment call here on, how many bars you'll need, of price being above or below the support resistance level prior to. But, let's just say, I don't know, I guess for good measure, how about 20 bars? Something like that. So we want a minimum of 20 bars. And let's see. Yeah, that's well, that kind of 20 bars kind of ruins this little spot here I was hoping to generate a short signal from. So let me knock this down here. Maybe 10 bars will work. Yeah, there we go. So looking over here, so on this bar here, so this bar here would be the 10th bar of price being below our support resistance level. And just like over here, this would be our 10th bar of price being above it. So maybe we can increase this a little more. Let's go up to 15. No, a little too much here. Let's try 13. Something like that. There we go. There. All right. So price was at least below our support resistance level, you know, for at least 13 bars there. There. And let's rename this solver so we know it was set to 13 bars, not 20 there. All right, so there we go. So there's basically a price, you know, above or below our support resistance level for a minimum of 13 bars. And so if we go back to our original, right, to the first design, let's kind of take a look here. Right, there we go. Yeah, so we kind of had some false positive signals there. So, but if we connect in our little filter, like so, there we go. It filters all that stuff out like that. And so now let's scan through the chart again and see if we actually have any signals out of this. Yeah, the NQ might be a little too volatile. So let's switch over to, let's go to the RTY. I think that is a little slower instrument. Let's see if that'll generate something on here. Oh, and let's see here. I need to reconnect here to my data feed. There we go. Get that data loaded in. So, but also, let's see, David, if you have any suggestions on what instrument and chart type might work to help generate some signals here. So let me take a look at the board. Let's see. Steven's suggesting, yeah, to use Renko bars on gold. Okay. David L is suggesting the 6E. All right, 6-year bonds. Okay. All right. Yeah. Let me take a look at the RTY first. Yeah, I think the biggest challenge here is just that, you know, the markets have been so volatile recently that the pivot indicator is just going to be really spread out, which is obviously going to limit any opportunity to get a bounce off the pivot line. So let's see here. Let's switch over to let's see. It was I think somebody suggesting, yeah, using a Renko bar. Yeah, let's try that. Let's switch our bar type here. Yeah, let's go to Unirenko, and let's see, take trend 1, and let's see, let's do a reversal. I don't know, 12, I guess, maybe. And let's get some more data loaded on here. Let's try, let's see, well, we only have 4 days this week, so let's go 4. No, all right, let's try gold. No, not gold doesn't work either. Let's see, all right, well, let's try the ES. All right, I guess I'll try the YM next. And I'll try, yeah, the bonds here next. Hey, there we go. Some success. Let's stretch this out here and take a look. Let's see, short signal. Ah, good. Yeah, so this kind of, yeah, illustrated some adjustments that need to be made here. Let's see here. So what has happened? Yeah, I think the pivot lines are really close together to each other. All right, let's get BloodHound open here and take a look at why we have some short signals when price was above, right above the PP line here. And I was kind of wondering if this was going to happen. The last thing we did was build an extra support resistance solver to help us filter out whether price was above or below the pivot line for X number of bars here. And so remember, this distance I set to 50 ticks. So what's happening is these pivot lines they're basically within 50 ticks of each other. And these pivot lines got really close to each other. So that kind of made this logic not work. So let's see here. Let's try doing something like this. Let's see if 40 ticks will help us work. Yeah, let's try going down to 20 ticks. There we go. Yeah, I think that does it. Yeah, so there we go. There you go. So these signals back here, which were definitely not correct, are filtered out. And then when we go, here we go, to the previous day, to yesterday. Let's see here. Yeah, we're getting a short signal there. All right. Well, let's take a moment here and see if we can figure out what's causing the short signal here when price is coming down. Let's see this. Oh, of course. All right. A very simple mistake here. Of course. Let's take a look at the rules again here. So price is increasing, but we're looking for a short, right? So what do we have here? So, again, how is, right? Basically, think of all when you're working with all the solvers here, their default output settings are essentially designed to go with the trend, right? So, but this is a counter trend system here. Counter trend, right? So in other words, let's see how, I don't have any signals marked up anymore, but let's see here. Let's see if I can find something to work with to kind of illustrate. Okay, yeah, let's just use this area here. Right, so as the rules are written, right, we're looking for price to increase, but what we're looking for is ultimately a bounce off of one of the SR levels. So in other words, it's a counter trend system here. So price is moving up, and of course we can see from the output, right, we're getting a long output when price moves up, right? Because again, keep in mind that solvers, their outputs are defaulted to kind of work with the trend, to give you an output going with the trend. So what I needed to do, so the reason why we weren't finding anything is I needed to reverse the output here of the slope solver. So instead of using an output in the direction of the slope, we needed to use an output against the direction of the slope, right? So for counter trend, you're going to want to use against the direction of the trend, basically. So there we go. Let's take a look at this. Yeah, there we go. So now price is moving up, volume is decreasing, and so we're looking for potential short bounces here. All right. Now let's take a look. There we go. Okay. That's what we're looking for. So, yeah. So there we go. So this is it, basically. So this set of rules here is just, the way it's written is it's looking for opportunities of potentially, price bouncing off of a level there. So there we go. So as price is moving up towards R1, as when price gets close enough, we'll get that short signal saying that there could be a potential bounce off of this. Here, let's stretch this chart out a little bit, and there, so we can see our volume MA is declining, price is rising, and we got within X number of ticks of R1 of that support resistance level. And again, this solver here, number 3, let's zoom in a little bit here. Here, let's say, let's rename this here. So we have this set up so that when price is within 5 ticks of our support resistance level, that's when we'll get the signal telling you that, right, so that's something subjective, right, that you'll kind of have to determine on your own, what you're comfortable with, but figure out, what is that distance, how close do you need price to get to your pivot line, before you think that there might be a bounce here. And so I just chose 5 ticks. Yep. And so, yeah, there we go. So price is approaching the PP line. And let's see here. Yeah, volume was declining, but then we can see that we did get a little blip up in volume here. So volume started increasing and the signal stopped. So if volume kept declining, we would have gotten, let's see, 1, 2, 3, yeah, probably 3 bars of a short signal here. There, but we get this little blip up in volume. So volume actually increased, and so the short signal stopped. Yeah. All right, let's try this on some other more liquid instruments. So I'll switch over to gold, and let's see if we have anything on gold. So yeah, there we go. There's kind of an ideal situation. Again, well, it was until volume started to increase. So yeah. But in any case, that is how you would find, increasing price, right? Increasing price into a pivot line, and declining volume or decreasing volume, and then approaching a support resistance level.